What did you do?
So I kind of messed up. These markers right here, they say wet erase, and you can pretty much write it on anything and it comes off. Whatever this imitation dry erase is, it's hard to get off. So to keep Will from punching me in my nose, I'm gonna have to get this off. So tip on what not to do if you're gonna try to do an informational video. Make sure you're writing on actual dry erase board with dry erase markers. Alright guys, what is up? Cold Brew Cliff here, coming at you again. We're not in our usual setting. This time we got a little bit of PBS special type action going, a little after school special, a little bit of an educational video here, just to kind of give you guys some tips as to how to build a strength and hypertrophy program. You know, strength and hypertrophy is going to work really well for not only building muscle, but also building strength and working on weaker areas of the body to make you more overall strong when it comes to building your platform as not only an athlete, but as in health, as in longevity of the body. So, simple strength and hypertrophy programming by yours truly, Cold Brew Cliff. So, as you see, we got movements, then we've got the function of that movement, and then we got your sets and rep ranges. So you always want to start with you're going to have your primary movement, and then you're going to have a secondary movement, and then what is called a tertiary. So your primary, secondary, and tertiary movements are all going to be compound movements. And what I mean by compound movements is your main lifts. Main lifts is going to be things like back squat, as whether that's high bar, ass to grass, or that's low bar ass to grass. It's also going to be your bench press. It's going to be your deadlift. And those are going to be your primary, secondary, and tertiary. Those are those compound movements. In those compound movements, let's start with primary. So primary is going to be your main movement and the main focus of your workout as to what you want to build that day and get better on. So let's say in this situation, it is the high bar back squat. So with the high bar back squat, your movement is going to be that, and that's going to be your primary. From there, the function of that is going to be to build strength. And off of that, you want to work in your sets to about 3 to 6. So you want to have a little bit of a higher range of sets, but the thing is your reps are going to be a little bit lighter and lower. So you want to keep between a 1 to 5 range. That way you're really pushing and working the muscle and you're exhausting it. Because in order to build strength, you have to exhaust the muscle. That set range is going to be from 3 to 6, and rep range is going to be from 1 to 5. Now, whether you want that, that's a 3x3, or you do a 5x5. 5x5 is what a lot of people usually go with because you see great results with a 5x5. From there, you move into your secondary, which is another compound lift, and that is a lift that basically... So your secondary movement, that is going to be a lift that basically complements your primary movement that is also going to be strength-based. So this could be, as like for me, my secondary is usually something around the realm of bench press, and that's going to be a strength function, and that's going to be 3 to 4 sets with 4 to 6 reps. Now, why you bump that up is because it is a secondary movement and is not the main focus. So you're not, try to exhaust and break down that muscle quite as much as your primary, because your primary is going to be your main focus movement and your main strength driver. Now, the thing to, building muscle and, seeing some size is volume. Volume is the key driver for hypertrophy work. Moving into your tertiary is going to be something like a stiff-legged deadlift, or maybe if you're doing like a bench press day, it's going to be an overhead press. It's going to be something that's going to assist to your primary movement and also help with driving that strength. And for the tertiary movement, and tertiary, if you're not sure what tertiary means, tertiary just means third in the level of order of what you go. In your tertiary movement, of course, like I said, it's going to be assist. It's going to be 2 to 4 sets of 6 to 10 reps. So on this one, then that's really going to be not only focusing on some strength, but hypertrophy as well, because you're going to really be pumping blood into the muscle and assisting off of that primary. So if your main lift is a high bar back squat, you do the tertiary movement as a stiff leg deadlift, and what that is going to do is also, it's going to help with building up your hamstrings and your posterior chain. That's why you want to do 6 to 10 reps to really pre-exhaust that muscle group or that main area of the body to help it build to be stronger for the primary movement, because it is an assist. Now, going off of that, once you finish your primary, your secondary, your tertiary, which are all compound movements, you're then going to move into a fourth movement. This fourth movement is going to be where your hypertrophy initially begins. And that's going to be 2 to 3 sets But if you take a look at the rep ranges are going to be a lot higher, 12 to 15. A lot of people look at this kind of as a bodybuilding style because we all know in bodybuilding, you know, of course, power building, when you do a lot of hypertrophy, you have to go high reps to really pump and force blood and force growth into that muscle. Doing this is how you build mass, is how you build size, is also how you get definition. So combining that with the hypertrophy movement, you're not only going to work on your body and aesthetics as well, but you're also going to work on that strength to make you overall a well-rounded, better athlete. So from there, that fourth movement can be anything, whether it's glute ham raise or it's hamstring curls. It can be you get on the leg extension machine and you work on your quads. You work on something like that. Now, if this is an upper body movement, this could be dumbbell curls. It can be barbell curls. It can be skull crushers, dumbbell skull crushers. And that is your fourth movement. And this program is staged. Fifth movement, same thing. It's all optional. It all gives you options. You can add in different things. Like I gave that dumbbell skull crusher as an example. For maybe leg moves, you could do weighted walking lunges and add that in. And again, that's going to be 2 to 3 sets of 12 to 15 reps. And that's really working on just total body control as a whole and helping you build more muscle and forcing more growth. Now, as you get to that sixth movement is also going to be a hypertrophy movement. But the greatest thing about adding in a sixth movement is that it's optional. It's all complete options. You can throw in anything. Now, you don't have to have this sixth movement, but it is key to adding it in if you want to give yourself just a little bit more work to work on a weaker area. So let's say a weak point for you may be your rear delts. From here, you can throw in some side lateral raises. You can throw in some rear delt work. You can throw in some face pulls. And, things like that. Just mix it up. And you can also, have fun with it. And again, that's going to be 2 to 3 sets of 12 to 15 reps. Now, a really good background and basis for this is something to just check on to kind of give you a little bit of an idea of where this comes from. Online, there's something called a pre-Lipin's table. Pre-Lipin has all this basically written out to a T so you guys can see exactly how this works. Now, for me, when I do my compound moves, because I am a power lifter, I base everything off percentages. Now, you don't want to jump in directly to 90% or 100% and start just maxing all the time. No, start off with between 70 and 75% of your 1 rep max and figure that out. And then from there, just work your way up as you go, maybe about 7 to 8 weeks in. Then you start working them to about 90, 95%, 97.5. The closer you get to the ending of where you're programming or where you want to be. Let's say you're going up to, you're starting, competing and you're starting for a meet. Well, you do this type of program, start at about 70% on your rep ranges and do 3x3s or 3x5s and then work your way up 75% and then maybe 85% the next week. And then from there and so on until you can work up to where your body's adapting to that type of force on the body, using the percentages, using those set and rep ranges, and then from there, you can start adding in heavier percentages and really, really testing yourself once your body gets used to that. So this is just my suggestion. It's not the way, but it is a way for a simple strength hypertrophy programming. So like I said, let's give a quick example. High bar back squat for the primary. Secondary, bench press. Tertiary, overhead press or stiff-legged deadlifts. And then the fourth movement could be dumbbell curls, barbell press, overhead barbell press with dumbbell. Fifth movement, GHR, glute ham raises. And then the sixth movement, leg extensions. So, and then you just follow these same set and rep ranges. And that is a good way to build a strength and hypertrophy program. So I hope this was helpful to you guys. I hope you guys take this and you guys can use it. And you go in the gym and feel more confident about, your lifts and how your training is going to go. You guys can beast it out and then see growth and then also see gains in strength. Aside from this, you guys also got to pay attention to nutrition, which I will be doing a video about that soon. Like I said, I'm not an expert, but I know a little bit. So I hope this is helpful to you guys. You guys check it out, use it, take advantage of it, and let's all get better and let's be the best that we can be. So let's work.